Hello and welcome. I am Matt Roddy, and this is the Greater Prescott Podcast, where we talk about, you guessed it, all things Greater Prescott. Today, I am excited to have my friend Aaron Lambert on the podcast. Aaron, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thanks, Matt. It's good to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. So in this episode, you are going to get to learn about Aaron's background, about Aaron's current job, which is a fascinating job when you'll hear it. So just listen. And then I am really excited to get into kind of your side work in a sense where you're going to talk a lot about creativity and some of the things that you're doing, which is really, really neat. And then we'll talk about Greater Prescott. So
sounds good.
That's what we're going to do. Real quickly, I want to say thank you to the Den AZ for letting Aaron and I have a podcast here. The Den AZ is a music venue that is not open yet. They're currently building out this building, and they will be having a place where you can come have coffee, to do an open mic night, have an actual venue for bands to come in, and they'll have a little skate park out back as well. So just thank you to the Den for letting me host. And also, this really cool little logo sign was made by Junipine Design. So if you guys need any fun wooden custom design work, hit them up. They're on Instagram, Junipine Design. Brandy and Lauren are awesome people.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
It turned out really cool.
They did a good job.
They did. All right, let's dive into it. To set the context, please give people a sense of where you were born and raised, what'd you do when you were a kid, and things like that, and that'll get us going.
Sure. Yeah, so I grew up around San Diego County, different areas in San Diego County, Ramona, La Mesa. Went to Ramona High School, and after graduating, I kind of knew I wanted to do something creative, and sort of fell into wanting to work on video games or something along those lines.
Okay.
And
how did you grow up playing them?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did, and really one of the big things was there's this computer game called Thief, and one of the unique things they did was they released the engine, or not the engine, but the mission editor for the game, so you could. People, whoever wanted to, could just build their own missions for the game.
Gotcha.
And it wasn't like there's a lot of games that do that today, but they're actually built for customers to use. Whereas then it was actually like what the company used.
Yeah.
So it wasn't very user friendly, and you had to figure it all out on your own and typing in code and stuff like that. But there's a big community of people that did it. And a forum online and stuff. Getting into that, learning all that really got me interested in video games as a career.
Hey, just a side note, that's actually a really good idea for a business, right? For business to sort of be able to bring their users in and like help allow them to be part of kind of the process, sort of.
Yeah, and I think it helped to contributed to the success of the game, because even after you finished it, everyone's now interested in either making or playing all these extra fan missions that people have made.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it's really neat.
That's actually a really good side note for a business, is like, how can you allow your customers to be a part of the process?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So we found after graduating, or before graduating, I kind of knew where I was going to go, but the Art Institute in San Diego.
Okay.
And art institutes all over the U.S. They're a pretty big organization.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but since I already lived in San Diego, this is nice because I could stay at home.
Totally.
Didn't have to pay for dorms or anything like that.
Okay.
And they weren't starting. They had a game design program, but they weren't starting it for another semester.
Okay.
And so I went, but they had an animation program, so I went for that instead. And, and that's where I learned animation, and from there I got.
How long of a process is that?
How long?
Yeah.
Well, it's supposed to be, so it's a bachelor's degree.
Okay.
But it's actually sort of a sped up program, so you can finish it in 3 years.
Okay.
So that's
so it's, while it's not an actual university, it's a very similar process.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
And then during school, I had an internship at Sony Entertainment in San Diego.
Okay.
And then from that,
What'd you do?
all kinds of, it was all kinds of things. So yeah.
Grunt work? I mean,
yeah, I wasn't, I mean, it's not like I was getting coffee for anyone.
Okay.
It was, the thing I remember was like modeling different props for some of their games.
Okay.
So I don't know, had to make a shotgun or something. So I'd find pictures of shotguns online and then make it in 3D.
Okay.
Yeah, or that's mainly what I remember is just little props.
Was it good experience?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Yeah, it was neat. It was neat being there.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of other classmates that were doing it too. So
that's cool.
They were pretty connected to the Art Institute, so it was a good program.
You should be.
Yeah.
You can find some good employees.
Yeah, right. It was smart. And so, and after that, I had a teacher who knew one of the guys that worked at Sony and recommended me, and so I ended up getting a job there for a year.
Okay.
Yeah, it was actually
in San Diego where you had your internship. Basically.
Yep.
Okay.
And it was actually through a temp agency, so it was a contract job. It wasn't a full-time employee, but and then they had a rule they can only have someone on for a year as a contractor
until
and if at that point they had to bring you on full-time or let you go. And since they weren't super busy, they let me go.
Okay.
But my boss knew a guy or knew people up in LA at the company where I now work.
Okay.
And recommended me, and it was supposed to be a 6-month job, and now 13 years later.
13 years later. So how old are you?
I'm 36.
Hi, I'm 37. This guy's been working at the same company for 13 years. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, what a blessing.
Yeah, it's definitely not normal. It's not usual even for the industry.
Yeah. Is that true? Okay, is that true even for the industry?
Yeah,
okay.
Usually there's a lot of bouncing around and people hop from company to company or whatever. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So let's back up real quick. What'd you do when you were a kid? What kind of, aside from being somewhat of a gamer, I might call you, but just what'd you do? You were in San Diego. Did you guys go to the beach much?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of a stereotype.
Yeah, I mean, we went to the beach and I wasn't a big physical activities guy, though I definitely enjoyed the outdoors and hiking and camping, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But so I wasn't really a surfer. I never actually surfed.
I've never surfed. I really want to try.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah. I just, nobody showed me how, so I didn't do it. But, so I definitely enjoyed living in San Diego, and it has a lot to offer.
Yeah, for sure.
But as a kid, I really did a lot of creative stuff that I designed.
Yeah, let's talk about this, because this is gonna really fast forward us into some of the stuff you're gonna talk about that you're doing on the side right now.
Yeah, so I had all kinds of just weird projects that I came up with for myself. Like I designed this world with all these aliens and their background and their almost with a role-playing game kind of mindset of like their statistics and things about them, and then there's maps of where they live and things like that, and it's something like you'd find in the back of a fantasy book.
Okay. Was it computer based?
No, it's all hand drawn. Yeah,
okay, you were writing, drawing.
Yeah.
All right.
And I designed some kind of game where I drew out all these sort of layouts and the enemies that you'd encounter and fight and stuff like that. Yep. Though looking back, like it was completely unplayable. There's really no rules to it, and I don't know how anyone would play it, but the pictures were cool.
Yeah, the process is far more important than the actual
exactly.
working.
Yeah, so I do stuff like that and make little doodles and drawings. And
Yeah. Would you be sitting in class doing those types of things?
Yeah, I would. I'd draw a lot during class, and even like during church, I'd fill up a page with drawings.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I did a podcast with a guy, Jared, a few days ago, very similar to you, where he was just kind of very creative and artsy from a very early age, and he loved doodling and would fill up sheets of paper and things like that. It's pretty cool.
In writing too, I'd always have story ideas in mind, and never really I'd just write short little things, but would never really commit to finishing anything. But that was always something that interested me and I thought about a lot.
Did you enjoy reading?
Oh yeah, I read a lot.
All right. What were some of the books that you loved?
The normal Lord of the Rings and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
That's a great book.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's such a good book.
Yeah, I read it. I read the whole thing in The Hobbit at least twice when I was younger. So.
Yeah, The Hobbit's really good. And then I think I read The Hobbit first, and I thought, wow, this is awesome. And then you read Lord of the Rings and go, oh my gosh, this is so good.
It's got so much better.
Yeah, it got so much better.
Yeah.
Nice. So tell people about, you mentioned after Sony, you got the quote unquote 6-month deal up in LA. Did you actually move there?
Yeah.
Were you
Well, so first I commuted.
Sorry, bring us through some more of that.
Yeah. Well, so first is kind of interesting because both the jobs that I got in the industry, and before that, when I was in college, I was working at a toy store.
Okay.
So to make some money, which was a fun job. But even that one I got through, my stepmom was the bookkeeper at the toy store, Geppetto's Toys, and they have a few shops in San Diego.
All right.
But so all the jobs I've had were through someone I knew. I never interviewed for any of them, which is kind of weird.
Awesome. Hey, go for it.
Yeah. So when
you've had a job for 13 years, hey, not a whole lot of interviewing going on.
Yeah, and even the one in LA, it was basically like, when can you start? We need people right away.
Right.
So
nice.
It just went from there.
So you moved from San Diego up to LA?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I about a month I drove back and forth. That was just terrible. Yeah. And we were working pretty long hours at that point. So it was like wake up, drive to work, drive back home, go to sleep.
For a few hours, then go back and do it all over.
Yeah, it was awful.
And that's hard.
But that was a month. That's
sometimes to make things work, you have to do things that are just really hard. Like, so if you would have just said, no, I'm not going to do this drive, well, fine. You don't have that job and things don't happen like they do. So
yeah, you got to make sacrifices. And of course you have to think about your own health. And
of course
there's a point where it just becomes unreasonable, but
absolutely. I mean, you can't do it for very long.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, and then I found a place with a coworker that renting from a guy, and I could tell a lot of stories about that. He was a really weird dude. The guy and he lived at the place, and we rented it from him. Okay, and he was just kind of a retired military and postal worker. Okay, and just a very interesting guy. But after that, I found another coworker, and we just rented an apartment together. Okay. Way better. And then
did you have to commute very far to work when you were?
No, it was never. Okay. It was never that. It was like 20 minutes, half an hour at most. Okay. Yeah.
Nice.
So it was never that bad.
All right.
And then eventually ended up getting my own place, and then I rented my place to my coworker that originally was with me. Nice. So yeah, we stayed together for a while. Yeah. Until I got married. So yeah.
Yep. So now run us through. You're married. How'd you meet Britt and things like that?
Yeah. So yeah, you know, since you know me, you know my wife Britt. And we met through we're doing an outreach through our church at Venice Beach to the homeless there. And so that was something our church did quarterly, as we go out and usually we give out necessities. Okay. Have normal, just have bags of toiletries and some food packs and stuff like that, and then seasonal things like socks or blankets, or just depending on what they might need. Yep. So yeah, I met her through that, and we hit off pretty well, and then it was a while before I saw her again, even though we went to the same church, because we did different services and whatever. But eventually, invited her to a study, and eventually had coffee with her, and went from there.
Awesome. Yeah. When were you married?
13.
2013. All right. Fast forward, or just keep talking about your timeline in terms of being in LA, and then bring us to how you got to Greater Prescott.
Yeah. LA was it ended up being hard for us. Okay. We had our first kid, and then we had a second on the way, and Britt she used to work for Northrop Grumman. Okay. Ended up stepping down from that. It became too stressful for her, and just wasn't her thing anymore. And so then she was working for a church first as an office administrator,
Okay.
and then as a children's director. And so she was bring our first Millie in with her to work every day and making it work. But
Of course.
But then having a second kid, that wasn't going to happen.
Yep.
You can't watch two kids and do your job and
Go
into
how
a
you
play.
watch one.
Right. Yeah, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So and then LA is just expensive. So it just we couldn't really do having multiple kids and single income and make it in LA. It just wasn't going to work. Yeah. So we knew we'd known for a while we wanted to move somewhere else.
Okay. Yeah.
And we didn't have any family in LA either, so that was a really hard.
It's challenging.
Thing. Yeah. It's so much easier when someone can just come over and watch the kids, and you have to pay them for it.
Yeah. Yep. Amen.
So, yeah.
So
we looked at a few different places, and
where'd you look? Out of curiosity.
Well, the big Prescott was a big one because Britt went to Embry-Riddle, and then her brother went to Embry-Riddle, so we knew about it. I'd been a few times here.
Yeah.
Really liked it here. The other one in Idaho was a big one. I have my sister's out there.
That's right, your sister's out there.
Yeah, and Idaho's really gorgeous.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Okay.
We've visited a few times. So those were kind of the two main ones. We wanted somewhere where family was nearby.
Okay.
Was a big requirement, and then a place that's just more open, a lot more outdoor opportunities, and just a beautiful place.
A different lifestyle than
and somewhere with a good community.
Okay.
LA, one of the challenges, we really did have a good group of friends in LA, and we really enjoyed our church there. But one of the challenges was it's just hard to establish a community there because everyone's so busy. No one really wants to drive any more than they have to.
I was saying it's spread out. So just proximity is a really big deal in life.
It is.
That's why there's a lot of convenience stores. We're really lazy in a sense. Like proximity is a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Even coming out here, people will be complaining about going from Prescott to Prescott Valley. You're like, dude, it's not that far.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. You're like, it's not that far away.
It's 20 minutes, right?
Yeah. But that's funny. Proximity is a big thing.
It is a big thing. So you made the leap and moved to Prescott. Okay.
Yeah, we lived with my wife's parents down in Chandler for 3 months.
Okay.
So we moved in with them.
Transition.
While we looked for a place up here. So we drove back and forth a lot.
Yep.
And then finally found a place, and we're really, really happy with it, and blessed and thankful to find somewhere that was really just perfect for us.
And you work remote, right?
I do,
so
yeah. That
was a huge, hey, we can move, and I still have my job.
That was a big part of it, too. So before me, another coworker had done this program where I think it's called Remote Year, Travel Year, something like that. Okay. So he got to, and our work let him do it. He talked to him about it, let him do it. And he got to go with a group of people, the same group. He went to a different country every month for a year, all over the world.
Okay.
And was still able to work.
Yeah.
So after that, kind of opened the door for me to say, hey, I just want to go to Arizona.
Yeah,
I'm going to have a reliable internet connection.
Yes.
I'm not that far away if I need to come back to do something. And they said, they let me do it, and got to keep my job.
Did you decide to move after they said that that's okay? Like, how does that kind of... that's pretty challenging.
Yeah, we were pretty much thinking about it anyway. So my approach was almost just saying, hey, I'm going to move. So if you want to keep me on...
And I'd love to work remote. Okay.
Yeah, if you want to keep me on, then I'd love to keep working for you guys.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And that was 5 or so years ago. Like,
it's
2013. Well, that's when you...
Yeah, we've been here, it'll be 3 years in November.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that's how you made it here.
Yeah. And here we are.
All right. I want to talk about your current job. What do you do? Tell everyone your actual job title, and then give people a sense of what in the world you do, because it's a fascinating little thing that you have going on.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's always depending on the person, I might explain it differently because not everyone understands. But the technology.
Most of us don't understand here, so make it easy.
Yeah, sure. So my title is lead motion animator. And I work at a motion capture studio. So motion capture is where and most people are familiar with it or have seen it, even if they don't exactly know what it is. So if you've seen Lord of the Rings or tons of movies like that, like Gollum in Lord of the Rings was a motion capture character.
Okay.
So Andy Serkis is the actor who plays Gollum, and what they do is they have him come in. They have a special stage with infrared cameras, and he wears these little reflective balls on his suit called markers.
Okay.
And the cameras in the system pick up all that motion and recognize it as a human figure and record all his data, and then that gets cleaned up, and then that gets put on the Gollum character. And then after that point, someone will go through and touch it up even more to make it look good in the scene and with whatever he's supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So it looks good in the movie when you finally see the finished product.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So what do you do in that process? There's a lot going on there.
So since I've been doing it for so long, I've done just about every part of the process.
All right.
Yeah. So I've out of sort of necessity and just from being there, I've learned how to do it all.
Yeah.
So mainly what I do though is I will get the finished. So it's been captured, it's been cleaned up. And what you have is just a bunch of dots moving around.
Yeah.
And then in the system, you build a skeleton inside of those. We call it the marker cloud. Okay. So you build a skeleton inside that cloud. And so now you have what looks like a stick figure skeleton that's moving. And then you take that and you take the 3D character and you apply their motions together. So you have the character following the skeleton.
Yep.
And then you make adjustments to make it look good.
Okay.
And then I deliver it to the client.
You just make adjustments.
Yeah.
It's that easy, right?
Yeah. It's just, it's funny. We're a service group, so we have all kinds of clients that come to us and pay us to do the work. We don't really make our own products. We have done a few little things, but mainly we do work for clients. Mm-hmm. And we had one client that said, "Don't you just push the standard filter?" I'm like, no.
We wish.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot cheaper for everyone.
Yeah, not how it works.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'll get a wide variety of clients who understand what you're doing and what's being asked, and some who have no idea at all what happens behind the curtain.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But mainly, since I'm a lead, a lot of what I do is reviewing other people's work.
Okay.
And double checking it, making sure it looks good, and then prepping it to send off to the client.
Are you doing these primarily for movies, for commercials? Like, what type of uses do people have for motion capture stuff?
Yeah, well, there's all kinds of uses, actually. Originally, it started in the medical field, and then it's a lot of... Actually, with drones, it was a big thing, too.
Okay.
But mainly what we do is video games. That's the biggest one.
Okay.
And then we do some movies and commercials as well. And a lot of apps now, too, and some VR stuff. So,
okay.
Yeah, all kinds of things.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, VR is a pretty big one now.
Have you has that forced you to learn a little bit about VR? I know nothing about VR, so I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Have you had to...
Not a whole lot.
Okay.
Yeah, because on our end, it still looks the same. Whatever platform it's going into, we still do essentially the same thing for it. Yeah. But I wasn't on a lot of the jobs that were for the VR stuff, but we did have a few sets at work, and they could test it in real time and see how it looked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's pretty neat.
Have you been on an actual set up for motion capture?
Oh, yeah.
So have you seen that whole process?
Yep, many times.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the and we've seen a lot of actors and stuff come through, but so Andy Serkis, actually the guy who played Gollum, he was pretty fun because when he came in, he had us for his first day of shooting. Yeah. Because he's actually directed a few video games himself.
Okay.
For his first day, he had us all come on stage with him and do like a freeze tag game and
fun.
Yeah, just have fun.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we've seen Terry Crews came in for a game too, and he was just a fun, interesting guy. So it was pretty cool. Yeah.
What a unique behind the scenes thing that you do.
Yeah.
I mean, most of us just watch a movie and hardly think about anything, and I imagine you watch a movie in a little through a different set of lenses, so to speak. Huh. I
have a lot more of a critical eye, or just an understanding of
how it works.
And usually I can tell some people can, but I can tell whether it was, so keyframe is usually what you say if it was motion that's made from scratch.
Okay.
So you just came up with it yourself, whereas motion capture was taken from real life and then put onto 3D assets.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So usually I can tell the
And
difference.
for your eye, you're pretty good at that.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
You probably ought to be pretty good at it, right?
Yeah. Look at it all day long. It is interesting being able to see human motion and looking at it from every angle or scrubbing it forward and back in time as slow or as fast as you want.
Yeah.
You kind of learn a lot about the body and how it works.
Good point.
Yeah. The mechanics. Yeah.
Anything come to mind that is surprising or notable?
Yeah. I think like one thing is when you're looking at motion capture data, it's actually people move a lot slower than you expect, or it's yeah, so it's more, I don't know, more slow, gradual movements
Gotcha.
when you're looking on the computer.
Yeah.
But it's also one of the big things is one of the hardest things is when people hyperextend their limbs. So especially dancers their legs can hyperextend pretty far.
Yeah.
And that actually most character assets, so that the characters in the scene can't do that. So you have an actor that's doing something that the character can't actually is not built to do.
Yep.
And so it kind of breaks it every time, and you have to adjust and fix it so it doesn't happen. So
it's like Photoshop. It's like, this isn't real, kind of.
Yeah, so it's kind of it can be, for someone who's very flexible, it's actually kind of a pain for us, which it's not their fault at all. You know?
No.
So.
Okay, I got what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's fun. Well, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
What a fascinating job. I mean, it's a job to you, but really interesting for others like us like me to learn. So
yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, and we've definitely worked on some neat projects and some fun stuff. So.
Like what?
Well, we did, and some it's just fun to say that I worked on it. So we did work on the latest live action Spiderman movie, Far From Home.
Okay.
One of the more unique ones we did was so Mattel did a video blog for Barbie.
Okay.
And it was basically like a show on YouTube.
Okay.
And that one was, we actually made all the assets for that one and did the rendering and lighting and all that.
Wow.
Yeah. So usually we don't, but this was much more of we had our hands pretty involved in the project.
Awesome.
And it was an episode every 2 weeks. So pretty fast turnaround.
Yeah.
So you'd
So
have
you're
the same.
a Barbie guy now.
Yeah, right. Well, we don't do that one anymore, but it was an interesting one just from a show aspect to work on and to see what one of our directors. We had a director that's pretty involved in it, and just seeing like from the script to what actually gets shot and made and that whole process.
The workflow of it.
Yeah,
that's fascinating.
Very
to
fascinating.
Me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just mentioned to Emily about someone's job and the workflow that has to happen within that. Just it's fascinating of all the things
the moving
have to
parts
work together. Yeah. Well, cool. Thanks for sharing all that. What just a unique job. So that's what you do right now.
Yeah. Yep. That's what I'm doing
from your house. Yeah.
Yeah, and now it's interesting too because everyone's working remotely.
Oh.
Yeah, so we do have an office, but it's mainly just to hold the servers. People aren't really there right now, so
unique.
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
So it went from just being me to and maybe a few other people off and on to everyone's remote now, and so we've really had to change our pipeline and tools to support that.
Makes sense. Has that been? How's that gone? Because imagine there's some inherent challenges.
There was a lot of challenges at first, especially with. Because it's taxing the servers a lot more, and it's just slower for everyone because they're having to download everything locally, and we have some pretty big files.
Heck yeah! Oh, I bet they're huge.
Yeah, they can be. Yeah, a lot of video too, and you know how big video is. But we've our tech guy has done a lot to develop the tools and made it a lot better and easier. Cool. So it's gotten a lot better. There's still a lot of improvements to make, but. And I talk with people a lot more because everyone's online now, and we have daily meetings and stuff. So yeah,
interesting. I wonder how many of those fellow employees are going to be like, "Hey, boss, I kind of like this."
We've had a few talks about it already, and it's cheaper if we can. You know, as long as it's efficient, it's cheaper for the boss to not have an office for people. So,
yeah. Mm-hmm. That's fascinating.
Yeah,
fascinating.
Yeah.
And that's just, we won't go into it, but a lot of people here in the greater Prescott area work remotely. I remember when we first moved here, we realized you were remote. Corey was remote. A few other people worked remotely. And I was like, huh. And now I think we're probably going to see that process even sped up for more people in terms of working remote.
Yeah, I think so too.
Cool. Let's segue into your side creativity work.
Sure.
I really don't even know where to start. And so I'm going to let you take the reins in terms of some of the stuff that you're working on and where your interests are and where you like to see yourself go in the future.
Yeah.
So take it from here.
Sure. Yeah. So, and I have the struggle of wanting to do everything all the time and never having enough time to do it. And it's always been that way. Yeah. I think that's just my life and how I'm designed.
Totally.
I just want to do a lot of neat stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, the two really big things that I'm into, one is writing.
Okay.
Really spend a lot of time and become much more dedicated to the writing craft.
All right.
And then the other one is board games and designing board games.
All right.
Yeah. So on the writing side, both fiction and nonfiction.
Okay.
So I have a blog and I write a lot about creativity.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then I have a short book that's for free on Amazon.
Okay. I'll put all that information up for people.
Cool. Yeah. So it's called Done, Finish Your Project in a Month.
Okay.
Or your creative project in a month. And that's just sort of a promotional book. And a lot of people liked it.
Get things moving forward.
Yeah. It's gotten like 5,000 plus downloads. So
good for you. Yeah. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So
that makes me so happy.
It's interesting too, because as far as marketing, I really didn't do anything for it. So it must be helpful for people. They enjoy it.
A word of mouth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I have a full-length nonfiction book called The Endless Creative, and I'm looking for an agent on that one.
Gotcha. And is that the one you've been talking to me about for some time that
Probably,
you've been working on? Okay. It's been in the process.
Yeah. So that one I paid a freelance editor to go through it and just trying to find a publisher for it.
Yeah. Let's start with that writing.
Yeah.
Well, actually, let's start with the creativity component, because I think that's sort of the foundation for your interest in writing and also the board game things. Just talk about creativity. Let's just start the conversation, because I think you're someone who is on one end of the continuum, that really expresses his creativity well, versus where more I am, but I'm trying to get away from is this, oh my gosh, I actually am creative. I just need to be more comfortable to do it. I think so anyways, just kick off a conversation about creativity.
I think probably one of the big things that I through my books and writing and and blogs and whatever, one of the big things I try to express to people is that everyone is creative. And we have certain ideas of what it means to be creative and what creativity is. But I think if you really look at anything you're doing, there's a creative aspect to it. And everyone has certain strengths in different areas. I'm not a painter. I'm so at music, but I still consider myself a creative person. And there's certain things I excel at better than others, and it's going to be the same for everyone. But everyone has creativity is a part of everyone, and I think it's something everyone's designed to be and do is to take part in creativity.
I could not agree more. That is well said. So keep going.
Yeah. So really what I try to do is encourage people in that area and help them to see how they're creative and just, there's definitely a lot of struggles to creativity. It's easy to be critical against yourself. It's hard to take criticism as well.
It is.
And it's hard to stay motivated, especially now in these days. It's very easy to get sidetracked, to not finish things that you start. So all that stuff is the resistance to being creative.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I do is try to encourage people in those areas of sticking to something, finishing something, even if you fail, you learn from the process and move on to the next one.
Failure's just part of the process, guys.
Exactly.
Just keep going.
Exactly. And one of the big things, that Derek Dopker is his name, wrote a book called Why Authors Fail. One thing I really appreciated in it was his view of success. So he thinks
the
of
S word.
Yeah, right. So he says what the healthy way to look at success is to think of it as a mindset instead of an event. So if success is you accomplishing this goal, well, one, maybe you'll never get there, or two, you'll get there and then you'll still be unsatisfied because there's going to be something else you want to do. Yeah. Whereas if you just decide, this is what I'm going to do and this is what I'm going to keep working on, and as long as you're doing that, you're successful. Yeah. And that you're so much happier if that's your mindset.
Amen. And I say the S word, like the word success, especially when you get into some of the stuff that we are in. We like to learn, we like to grow, we like to do stuff. Yeah. Oftentimes we have too many irons in the fire in a sense. So success is very talked about in our kind of, success for you getting a book published, like, right? Yeah. But I think it's so much more important for people to realize success is like it's the process, it's the doing, it's the sitting down and writing, starting that book, it's the working on the board game. We have a very skewed sense of what success is, and because I've also struggled with it, so that's why I bring it up, that I'm trying to get better at enjoying, in a sense, the small successes in the process of wherever, of just simply starting a podcast, of having you on. It was successful that I got here today early to move some furniture around to set this thing up. Like just little things that kind of get lost in the big scheme of things. Yep.
Yeah. And you've recorded a few and you're recording now. So that's, you're walking in success right now.
Yeah. That's a good reminder.
Yeah.
It is
right here.
So, and I think you bring up such a vital aspect of the creativity process is encouraging people. That just sounds like that's a lot of probably where the angle you come from, that, hey, you have it in you. Yeah. Let's just start somewhere. Or let's continue, pick up where you left off. Yep. Let's get this thing finished.
Yep. Yeah. And that's one of the big things too, is that asking yourself, or the phrase, can you just do this one little thing today? What's the simplest, easiest thing you can do today towards whatever you want to accomplish?
Yeah. Yep. I just started listening to a book called Atomic Habits.
Oh, yeah.
It basically speaks very much to that.
Yeah.
Just what's one thing you can do right now that, in a sense, a better habit or a better choice than you made a minute ago.
Yep.
Just little stuff.
Yep.
Most of the big things that happen in life happen through the smaller things in life.
Right.
The guy on stage, like the musician who's playing in front of 50,000 people, it started in front of 0 people. Yeah. It's just how it goes.
And he's probably been working at it 10, 15 years.
Oh my gosh. He's probably got stories. Yeah. I really, we see, I think Jeff Bezos is the best example right now because he's kind of on top of things. I wish we had videos of him packing boxes in his garage. I really wish to kind of just put it in perspective that even him started somewhere.
Yep.
Very small, very humbly. And so I feel like you really speak to that and have a passion for helping people along that path.
Yeah. And you see the glitz and the glamour of when people have arrived, but you don't see the blood, sweat, and tears of what it took to get there, and all the times they got rejected or they failed, but that's part of the process.
Yeah. Are you willing to speak to some of the rejection? I don't know if rejection's kind of maybe not even the right word, but just some of the obstacles that you've had in your book writing process, because you're trying to get it published, so you're already pretty far down the path of things. Talk a little bit about some of the struggles and the resistance and things.
Yeah, sure. Well, books are not easy, and it's interesting because I've watched a lot of people and attended courses and seminars and things like that, and there's a lot of money to be made and selling people on the idea of writing books. And so I think that's almost an industry. It is an industry in itself.
Absolutely.
But as far as like the numbers, there's a lot more people getting people to write books and making money off of that than people making money off of writing books.
Yes.
So you get started and you get this idea that you're just going to be a millionaire in a couple of years or something like that. And that's not how it goes.
Usually it's not.
Yeah. And so the big part is there's a lot of rejection. Especially if you're looking, there's the two routes you can go with books is traditional publishing, is you find a publisher, or self-publishing. The self-publishing, the tough part is you have to do it all yourself. And the parts you don't want to do, you need to find and pay someone to do for you. So it's either expensive cost-wise or expensive time-wise. And it's really a full-time job.
Yeah.
And then if you want to find a publisher, well, most publishers want someone who has a big audience. They don't really want a nobody. So there's the challenge of that, of proving to them that you're worth investing in. You're sending a lot of things out and usually getting nothing back at all, or maybe just the standard boilerplate email. But I have had a few good response emails from people and encouragement and things like that. So you're currently
looking for a publisher?
Okay. For the nonfiction, and then for fiction, I've got a sci-fi novel.
Okay.
And that I'm not sure what I'll do yet.
All right. Where in the process are you?
So that one's actually pretty close to done. I finished.
Great.
I started that one a long time ago, and then set it aside, sent it out to a lot of people, got some good feedback, and then set it aside for a while, and just there's other things I was more interested in, and then finally got interested in again and went back and fixed all the things, did a big rewrite and fixed all the things I thought weren't working for it, and I'd learned so much more about writing by then. So I saw a lot of my mistakes, and so I finished that draft, and now I'm just reading through it again, sending it out one more time for people to read, and then figure out what to do with it after that.
Man, so you got essentially two books under your belt. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Wow. That's amazing, Aaron.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
2 books.
Yeah. Really, when it comes to the struggle for me is not making the thing, because that's the part I enjoy, but it's the what to do next with it and how do I sell it or whatever with it. Yeah, that's the harder part for me, is the marketing and sales.
I would imagine that's most authors' challenge. I mean, it's,
you don't think about it.
Your passion is the writing. It's the getting that book together.
Yeah.
But then what?
Yeah, right. Yeah, and when you start writing a book, you don't think, oh yeah, who's going to want to buy this book, and who am I writing? What's the audience I'm writing for, and how am I going to market and sell it?
Yeah.
And you shouldn't really be thinking about those things too much while you're writing it. Yeah. But it is part of the process.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Congratulations on 2 books under your belt.
Yeah, it is exciting.
Yeah. Let's talk about your games.
Yeah.
You've got a couple of things over here. Do you want to bring them up?
Sure. Yeah.
Bring them up.
I can grab them if you want.
I think it'll set the context a little bit for people so that they have a sense of just some of the work you have going on.
So I'll bring my prettiest one out first here.
Okay.
All right. So this game is called Temple Trap, and I won't do the whole setup for it because it could take a little time. But essentially, the story of the game is you'll have your little figures out along the outside here, and you're in an ancient temple that's been cursed, and you're a team of researchers, and the temple is slowly falling apart as you play. So there's dice. There's a die in each column here, and at the end of your turn, you'll roll them, and so the pieces of the temple will keep falling apart, and your guys will keep falling down. But you're also collecting these little tablets that people are standing on here. So you're collecting tablets, and there's a monster at the bottom that's gobbling people up. Okay. So it's sort of a survival, collecting things, and trying to puzzle out what's the best move you can make while things are changing constantly on the board and in the game.
Dude, Aaron, this is awesome. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. So
and you can the board rotates too, so you have these little walls that spin around.
Gosh. It's kind of hard to convey on camera, but
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can hold it up here so you can see a little bit better. But
That is so cool.
yeah. So this one I've worked on for a little while.
Uh-huh.
And my wife has a Cricut machine, if you've ever heard of those.
You've just told me about it.
Yeah. So they're pretty neat. You put in or you can make a flat design and it'll cut it out of all sorts of materials. So you can do paper or cloth or even cardboard.
Okay.
So we actually designed this all in 2D and then had it cut out and assembled it. And,
Okay.
yeah. So I was pretty happy with how it turned out.
Yes. So where in the process, like, you've put in a lot of time and effort into this.
Yeah.
What's next? Like, what's your kind of thought for?
Yeah. So
What
this
do you
is
do?
actually a game I'm going to start reaching out to publishers for too.
Oh, awesome.
This is an older version, but I have what's called a sell sheet here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, or a sales sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really just a one-page, what's your game about?
Yep.
Why should we care? And why should we buy it? And what makes it exciting?
Yes.
And some of the details about it. Yeah.
Cool.
So,
Man,
so
you've put in a ton of
yeah,
work.
yeah. So this is the first sell sheet I've made, and
Aaron,
yeah,
awesome job, man. Cool.
yeah.
All right.
So yeah, I actually just started the first. Not a lot of companies have open submissions, but there are a few.
Okay.
And so I started filling out the first one, and then realized I need to go because I hadn't redone the rules in a while. My written book of rules, so need to redo those.
Update
and then
those.
another big thing is actually having a video, how to play video.
Makes
So,
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna shoot one of those, and
Okay.
that really helps sell a game too.
Yes. Yeah. Man, good work.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so I have a lot of games. When COVID started,
Yeah.
I had this idea to just start making some very quick and simple family games, like that they could print at home and play. So
Yeah.
print and play.
Okay.
And a friend of mine, Andrew Bosley, he's a professional board game artist. So
Okay.
he does artwork. He does contract work, but artwork for board games. And he's done
Yeah.
all kinds of big ones. So he did a few artwork for a couple of them. And offered them on his site for free for people to download.
Nice.
Yeah. So I got, but during when that happened, I made like 3 or 4 games
Wow.
pretty
Great
quickly.
job.
Yeah, yeah. Some of them in like a week or so.
Okay.
Yeah. So I realized I was able to design and turn around a game pretty quickly,
Yes.
which was neat.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, just kind of now wanting to one at a time start getting it to where I feel like it's a state where I can present it to someone and then start seeing who's interested in getting some games.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Aaron. You've been putting in a lot of time, my
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah.
Good work. Well, and just congratulations for this. I mean, it's been in your head for who knows how long, and to actually get it out on into this form is really neat.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things. Writing and board games are very different mediums, I guess you could say, are very different types of entertainment.
Yeah.
Or reading and board games. But as far as the production side, they're actually very similar in that how you reach out to a publisher or if you want to make your own. So people go through Kickstarter.
Okay.
To get their own games made and published and get backers that way.
That makes sense.
But yeah, it's very, very similar in whether you want to do it yourself or find someone else who's going to publish and produce it. But as far as the enjoyment of it, it's a board game is a very quick experience. It's only an hour or two long. Whereas a book, that's a big investment.
Yes.
More of a long-term investment in both in creating it and enjoying it.
Yep.
But I really enjoy how what a unique experience a board game is. One in creating it, seeing something from just an idea to a physical thing that you play with and interact with other people and bond together with other people over this unique experience that you're having.
That's
together.
a good point.
Yeah.
I hadn't really thought of it that way.
Yeah.
And we've been playing a lot of card games with my 7-year-old Wyatt recently. And it speaks just to that. What a great opportunity to just spend quality time and have fun and laugh
Yeah.
and get frustrated.
Yeah,
and,
right,
and just,
right.
But what a unique thing to be able to do. I never really thought of it that way.
Yeah, so that's what I love about him, and even in this this digital age, board games are still very big. They're actually kind of bigger than ever.
Really?
Yeah. So a lot of board games too they've made digital versions of physical board games. So a lot of that is going online.
Yeah.
But even so, people are still interested in the physical form.
Yeah.
Just because of that personal connection and that tactile nature.
That's a good point. Yeah. We get, in a sense, you can so easily get almost fed up with just this and its lack of connection. I mean, there's a sense of connection, but not true relationship connection, like one person with another.
Yeah. And I think in a sense, people are starting to like the cell phone, that the smartphone was such a novel and world-changing thing. But I think people are also starting to wake up to like the negative effects of it and how consuming it can be in your life, and wanting to pull away from that in some ways and actually appreciate more of the one-on-one time and human eye contact.
I was actually just going to say that before you said it. Agreed. I think we're kind of going to see a coming back to things like this because we need it. We want it. It's what we crave.
Yep. Yep.
Well said. Any other games? I don't know what else you brought if you wanted to show anything else.
I'll show one more. That's the most finished one. But yeah, this was one my friend Andrew did the artwork for. And,
okay.
And I have him sleeve, but it's just a card game. But it's called Tooth and Talon, and a very, very simple game. But you have each person has a deck that they start with. And I won't go too much into the details, but and they'll have the same cards. But essentially what you're doing on your turn is everyone's putting out a card face down, then you all flip it. And then based on what card you played, you could take cards from other people or make them lose their cards or grab a bunch of cards from the discard pile, that sort of thing. And then all the cards give you different values of points at the end for what you've collected.
Gotcha.
And so, yeah, it's just a very simple fun little card game, but one that I really thought it looked nice. He did a great job on the art. Yeah. So there's little rats and
Good
snakes
job,
and
Andrew.
foxes and hawks and stuff. So yeah. And
cool.
So this one I actually there's a couple I guess you could call them board game simulators programs. So one is Tabletop Simulator and the other one is Tabletopia. And so you can import your board game assets and create the game digitally. And then it doesn't run the rules or anything. It just has all the things there. And so you need to know how to play the game still, but you can move things around in digital space.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I actually made this one on Tabletopia.
Gotcha.
So anyone can go and play it there for free.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I actually played with some coworkers online and
nice.
And they enjoyed it. Yeah. Yeah.
Good job. All right. Any other games?
I have a few others, but that's it for now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing those.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Man, creativity over here. Good work. Oh man.
Yeah.
And how fun that what you do here with the games and the books that you also have a passion in a sense helping people with. Like, hey guys, come on. How can I help you? Get going, get writing, getting your ideas on paper. That's really neat.
Yeah, and that's always been my goal, and I'm not a big name or a big success story yet, but that's the idea, is that wherever this stuff ends up taking me, or wherever I end up going, is I always want to help other people along the way, and have it where anything that I get from it contributes to other people as well.
Right. Well said.
Yeah.
All right. Couple more sections to wrap up.
Sure.
What is it about the greater Prescott area that you love, enjoy, and talk to us about that?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's so many wonderful things. Of course, it's a beautiful place. There's a lot of great hikes. There's lakes here.
Yep.
I love that we get all 4 seasons, but they're pretty mild.
They are mild.
Yeah, which is very enjoyable.
Yep.
I was in LA. Of course, the weather's great there, but it doesn't change either.
Right.
Sometimes you get tired of 72 and sunny every day.
Yeah.
It's
That's
nice.
a good point.
Yeah, it's nice to have cold days and snow and rain here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think before I moved here I would have said that I enjoy the seasons as much as I do.
Yeah.
Like there's something about that change that's kind of refreshing. I mean, yes, the winters are a little cool and the summers can be a little warm. But it's nice. It doesn't last long, and to know that in a couple weeks it's going to change. I mean, before the podcast we just talked about we've had a warm summer, but probably just average.
Yep.
And in the next couple of weeks the weather's going to start turning just a little, and it's like, oh, yay.
Yeah, and there's a mental side to that too of being in LA. We didn't really notice it till looking back, but it's sort of weird when things just don't change and the years go by and there's not really that outside
it's
sense
like
of
a marker.
The marker that time is passing and you're recognizing these different stages of your life.
Never thought of that.
Yeah.
And I've only lived here 2 years, and you're coming up on 3 years, you said?
Yeah.
So we're almost the same. I don't know that that's really clicked yet, but it probably will in the years as that cycle happens.
Yep. Yeah, there's just all the things you do for the different seasons, the different activities, and whether it's getting dressed for the snow or going out to the lake in the summer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. You now have 3 children, and so I know you're a little tied down because you have a pretty young pretty young one at home.
5, 3, and 9 months.
9 months.
Yeah.
So
or almost 5,
when you do get to go out with the kids, or when as they get older, you mentioned a couple things. You guys like to hit the trails and go over to the lakes.
We've taken them on a few trails already, and they've been good.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't done camping yet. That's the next one. But hopefully soon we'll do a little camping.
Yeah.
And then the big thing too that we love is downtown. Of course, is amazing. All the stuff that they do downtown, the concerts and the jazz nights, and it's very unique in that. I haven't been to a lot of places that have something like that and have that really strong sense of community of everyone being there and just having a wonderful time together. And, there's sort of a connection of being a Prescottonian.
There is.
Yeah.
Yep. And the square is kind of that spot.
It is.
Where
it's
it
the hub.
all comes together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even when we have friends or family come out, they're really amazed at it.
It is. I hope, and I do believe that we can preserve that in the coming years, because there is something just so special about it.
I agree.
That is, you almost walk into it and feel almost transported into a different era, if you will.
Yeah. It is. It is almost like going back in time a little bit.
Yeah.
To happier days.
Because you're right. There's a sense of community when you're on the grass and the kids are running around, and you can just spark up a conversation with someone you have never met, and it's very friendly, it's just, there's a connection there that's really unique.
Yeah.
Yep.
So all those things, and then that Prescott it has a small town feel, but all the modern conveniences too, and you're not really far from anything.
No.
Yeah. And even if you need to, Phoenix isn't that far away.
And if you really need something that we don't have. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I feel like we have about just the right amount of amenities.
Yeah.
That it's very comfortable. You can find almost anything you need.
Anything,
it may not be the exact thing you need, but if you really need that one thing, just go an hour south and you can find it all in the Phoenix area.
And then if you're really into snow activities, Flag is just a little bit away, and that's a big spot for people.
Yep. It's a great area.
Yeah,
I know.
and you've got Grand Canyon, and there's one really cool thing too about Prescott is just how many different landscape types there are. So you could be in a pine forest, you could be down a valley, you could be out in the dells on the lakes. And all those things are very close together in just a short little drive away. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. at Jay's Bird Barn, the owner, Eric Moore, he's a bird nerd, and I've had him on the podcast, and what he said was within essentially, or in the Arizona Highlands region, which we're kind of right in the middle, there are just massive topographical changes. So Chino is much more grassland and flat, and then you work through all these things up into the Bradshaw Mountains, and it's just this massively diverse area. And I would even take it farther that as soon as you could drive 2 hours in any direction, and you're going to get just a lot of variety.
Yeah, something totally different.
Something totally different.
Yeah.
The Grand Canyon's 2 hours, Flagstaff's 2 hours, Sedona's an hour, just all these things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited for our kids to get just a hair older, and we're kind of on the cusp of really being able to do some more exploring. Because you've got a baby at home. It's just physically, it's just hard to kind of get out.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited that we're now entering a phase where we can get out more.
Yeah, it's fun. And there's a lot of history to Prescott too, which is pretty cool.
I have a lot to learn about.
Yeah,
that.
so we've enjoyed going to the Charlotte Hall Museum and a few other places, and
I'm hopefully going to have a gentleman on the podcast. His name's Drew. On Instagram, he's Prescott AZ History or Prescott History, and he's putting out a book on Prescott in the next month or two.
Neat.
Or on something about this area.
Yeah, neat.
And I'm like, I think I ought to read that because I just don't know much about it.
Yeah, I got or borrowed a book from someone that had sort of the history of Prescott through images or through photos, and it was really neat seeing a lot of the old roads and mines and things that used to be out here. Yeah,
it's really cool. Yeah. Awesome. 2 quick things to finish up. One is going to be the rapid fire questions.
All right.
And then 2, I want people to be able to get in touch with you if they need anything. So I'll let you tell people in just a sec. Yeah. So this is rapid fire questions. Answer as quickly as you can with the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay, I'll do my best.
Here we go. What's your favorite thing about Greater Prescott?
Favorite thing? I'd say downtown. Yeah.
Favorite restaurant in Greater Prescott?
Ooh, El Gato Azul.
What's the number one thing on your Greater Prescott bucket list?
Kayaking.
Who or what is your favorite all-time artist or maybe board game or book or something like that?
All-time favorite. Boy, that's hard.
Go give a couple.
Yeah. Well, book wise, I like, of course, Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, sci-fi like Orson Scott Card.
All right.
So yeah.
All right. What are 3 words to describe living in Greater Prescott?
Friendly, beautiful, and relaxing.
If you weren't a motion capture person, what would you be doing?
Writing books and designing games, which I do.
Awesome. And what's your favorite summer activity in Greater Prescott?
Ooh, hiking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. I want people to be able to get in touch with you if they have any questions.
Sure.
So you tell the people how they can get in touch, and I'll put in all your information.
Yeah. So the main one is my website, creativeandbeyond.com, all one word. And there's a contact form there on the site if you want to get in touch with me personally. That's really the biggest one.
Perfect.
Then there's links to Facebook and Instagram, all that fun stuff. Yeah.
I hope you guys really enjoyed getting to know Aaron. What a fascinating job you currently have. What an interesting side thing you have going on with all the creativity, and seriously, great job for actually doing the stuff. It's sometimes just the hardest.
Yeah, it can be.
Getting what's in our head out there.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys enjoyed just this interaction. I know I did. I feel like sometimes I'm so much more into it than I wonder if the viewers will, but I really enjoy it. So I really appreciate your time. And anything else to wrap up?
I don't think so. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You guys, thank you very much for joining me. I'm going to put in all of Aaron's information. So if you have any questions, absolutely reach out to him, and have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.